Welcome to LTV, CLTV, and Equity, where we'll explore three critical concepts that determine loan eligibility and risk assessment in mortgage lending. Understanding loan-to-value ratios, combined loan-to-value ratios, and equity positions is essential for structuring loans and advising clients effectively. Let's start with loan-to-value ratio, or LTV. LTV is the percentage of the property's value that is being financed through the mortgage. It's calculated by dividing the loan amount by the property's appraised value or purchase price, whichever is lower. For example, if a borrower is purchasing a home for $300,000 with a down payment of $60,000, the loan amount would be $240,000. The LTV would be $240,000 divided by $300,000, which equals 80%. LTV is one of the most important factors lenders consider because it directly correlates to risk. The higher the LTV, the higher the risk for the lender, since the borrower has less equity in the property. Different loan programs have different maximum LTV requirements. Conventional loans typically allow up to 97% LTV for qualified first-time homebuyers, though 80% is the threshold for avoiding private mortgage insurance. FHA loans allow up to 96.5% LTV. VA and USDA loans can go up to 100% LTV, meaning zero down payment. Jumbo loans usually require lower LTVs, often capping at 80 or 85%. Investment properties typically have maximum LTVs of 75 to 80%. Lower LTV ratios generally result in better interest rates and loan terms because they represent less risk to the lender. Now let's examine combined loan-to-value ratio, or CLTV. CLTV becomes relevant when there are multiple loans secured by the same property. This commonly occurs with second mortgages, home equity lines of credit, or piggyback loans. CLTV is calculated by adding all loan amounts secured by the property and dividing by the property's value. For example, imagine a property valued at $400,000. The first mortgage is $300,000, giving an LTV of 75%. The borrower also has a home equity line of credit with a balance of $40,000. The CLTV would be $300,000 plus $40,000, divided by $400,000, which equals 85%. Lenders use CLTV to assess total exposure and risk on a property. Most conventional lenders cap CLTV at 80 to 90%, depending on the loan program and borrower qualifications. Piggyback loans, also known as 80-10-10 loans, are a common strategy to avoid PMI. In this scenario, the borrower takes out a first mortgage for 80% of the home's value, a second mortgage for 10%, and makes a 10% down payment. This results in an LTV of 80% and a CLTV of 90%, allowing the borrower to avoid PMI while putting down only 10%. However, second mortgages typically carry higher interest rates than first mortgages due to their subordinate lien position. Equity positions represent the borrower's ownership stake in the property. Equity is calculated by subtracting all outstanding loan balances from the property's current market value. Using our previous example, if a property is worth $400,000 and the total loan balance is $340,000, the borrower's equity is $60,000, or 15%. Equity builds in two ways: through principal reduction as the borrower makes mortgage payments, and through property appreciation as the home's value increases over time. Understanding equity is crucial for several reasons. First, equity determines refinancing options. Most lenders require at least 20% equity for a conventional refinance without PMI. Cash-out refinances typically require maintaining at least 20% equity after the new loan. Second, equity affects home equity loan and HELOC eligibility. Lenders usually allow borrowing up to 80 or 85% CLTV, meaning you can access your equity while maintaining a cushion. Third, equity provides financial security and flexibility. It serves as a safety net if property values decline and creates opportunities for future borrowing or selling. Negative equity, also called being underwater, occurs when loan balances exceed the property's value. This situation arose frequently during the 2008 housing crisis and can trap homeowners who cannot sell or refinance. As a loan officer, monitoring equity positions helps you identify opportunities for clients, such as refinancing to remove PMI once they reach 20% equity, or accessing equity for home improvements or debt consolidation. Let's look at some practical scenarios. Scenario 1. A client purchased a home 5 years ago for $250,000 with 10% down. Their original loan was $225,000, giving an LTV of 90%. They've paid down the principal to $200,000, and the home is now worth $300,000. Their current LTV is $200,000 divided by $300,000, or 67%. They have $100,000 in equity, which is 33%. This client could refinance to remove PMI, take out a home equity loan, or simply enjoy the financial security of substantial equity. Scenario 2. A borrower wants to purchase a $400,000 home. They have $40,000 for a down payment, which is 10%. To avoid PMI, they use a piggyback loan structure. The first mortgage is $320,000 at 80% LTV. The second mortgage is $40,000 at 10%. Combined with their 10% down payment, the CLTV is 90%. This strategy avoids PMI but results in 2 monthly payments and a higher rate on the second mortgage. Scenario 3. A homeowner has a property worth $300,000 with a first mortgage balance of $210,000 and a HELOC balance of $30,000. Their LTV is 70% and CLTV is 80%. They want to do a cash-out refinance to consolidate debt. If the lender allows 80% CLTV, they could refinance up to $240,000, paying off both existing loans and receiving no cash out. Or they might need to bring cash to closing if they want to consolidate other debts. In conclusion, LTV measures the loan amount against property value and is the primary risk indicator for lenders. CLTV accounts for all loans against the property and becomes critical when second mortgages or HELOCs are involved. Equity represents the borrower's ownership stake and creates opportunities for refinancing, borrowing, or financial security. By mastering these calculations and understanding their implications, you'll be able to structure loans effectively, advise clients on the best strategies, and identify opportunities to help them build wealth through home ownership. Remember, these ratios aren't just numbers. They represent real financial positions that impact your clients' lives and futures.